Okay guys, on this episode of Along the Wolf Trail, I'm sitting here with my buddy Caleb. We are here in camp, we're letting our stew cook, and I just really wanted to sit down and ask him a few questions, and really questions that maybe some of y'all can relate to as well. And the topic that I'm wanting to cover is how to get into living history. So Caleb, I guess we can start by what is your background on any of this stuff?
A big part of it for me, man, is I really enjoy being out in the woods, outdoors. You know, getting just anytime I'm spending time in nature, I'm better off. Right? This is it. This is pristine. So for me, that's big. Also, history. I've always had a love for history, and especially American history and how we came up, how we were born as a nation, and early on how, you know, the struggles that we faced on every front. You know, just the birth of this nation, growing up through infancy to become what it is today, where we live today.
Right.
This is so between just my love of the outdoors, which if you're doing living history, you're not gonna avoid being outdoors.
No.
So through my love for the outdoors and my love for history and this nation's history, that's a natural,
Exactly.
just a natural relationship there, right? You can't hardly help that.
That's exactly right.
So that's where that comes from.
Right. All right, guys, we had to, man, are you kidding me? We had to turn the camera around because our smoke was literally killing us right there. So back to the topic that we were talking on previously. I asked Caleb, how did he get into the hobby? I already know the question. I already know the answer to the question, but I want to hear it from his perspective. So, how did you get into the hobby?
So, I mean, we've talked about it, and we've talked about history for. We both share a love for history, so we've talked about it forever.
Yeah.
We've always discussed it back and forth, and I knew that you had done the living history for, you know, since we were kids.
Right.
So, you know, it's naturally just kind of drifted towards that. But we've hunted our whole lives right beside Fort Mims.
Right.
You know, we pass it every time we go to Boatyard Lake.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so we're in an area that's rich
in
with
history. Yep.
Right. So it's a natural progression. If you do have a passion for history and you're in an area like we are, you're not going to avoid it. Right. So
right.
I guess my first event was Fort Toulouse. I went to Fort Toulouse with you for the F&I days, and we camped out, you know, and that's big for me, dude. I love the camping aspect of it. So I kind of fell in love with it there. You know, we hung out in the native village. We played stickball with them, which was a blast.
Yeah,
it
sure was.
You know, I'm grown up now, and I've got a job and a real everyday thing going on. So when you get to break free from that and, you know, do something like play stickball with you know, and get beat other folks up, that's always a good time.
Ain't no doubt.
Can't beat something like that.
Yeah.
So it's just easy to get, once you do it, to fall in love with it.
Exactly.
It's a blast.
Yeah.
So after that, I started collecting a little bit of gear. I still got a long way to go because it can be expensive.
Yes, it can.
If you do your digging, though, you do your research, you can find stuff that's affordable and not crazy. You know, that's relatively easy to get. I'm not a whole lot of money into it, you know, yet.
Oh, yeah,
myself. I'm sure I will be, but I'm not yet.
Yeah.
So that's good for now. But I don't see quitting anytime soon.
I sure hope not.
Time.
Yeah, it is a good time. So the next question I want to ask you is, what is your opinion on living history now versus what it was before you got into it? Because I know there was a time where you didn't do it and I did. So what was your view on it then, before you knew all about it, versus now that you've spent a year into it and you're kind of starting to see what it's like?
So that's kind of it's a hard question, right? Because I know what everybody's thinking is, oh, you know, everybody wants to make fun of it, right?
They do. That's
a big thing that you're going to face.
Yeah, it is.
Here's the thing. it don't matter.
No,
what
it doesn't.
people think.
It doesn't.
And anybody that does matter is going to take time, sit back, and really think about it. And it's a, it's a noble cause, right? Like, this is preserving history that people don't pay any attention to anymore,
Nope.
right? We're right down the road from Searcy Hospital, that was Mount Vernon Armory and everything else back in the day.
And Fort Stoddart, I mean,
piece of history
yeah.
that's
Forgotten.
Currently, the other day there was a fire. Part of it burnt down. I don't know how much was damaged, but that's an ongoing battle trying to get Searcy Hospital recognized,
right.
for the historical commission. But if somebody doesn't preserve history, it'll be forgotten.
Exactly.
Right? And not to pull out a overused trope, but if you don't know history, if you don't learn history, it'll just repeat itself right in front of you.
Yep, that's right.
So yeah, I mean, going from not actually, I've always had a respect for it. I've never really been one of the people that made fun.
No,
of it,
and that's the thing. That's the thing I can say about Kaleb is I've never felt uncomfortable talking to him about it, because he did see it as an understanding. Like, he understood what I was talking about, because he did like history and he did like the outdoor aspect of it. But it's good now that you're in it, and you can see it now, and now me and you can talk about it on a different scale than what we could talk about it beforehand.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, now I'm actually getting into it, becoming a part of the living history. And
Right.
Man, it's a blast. And
not to mention the people that you get to meet and hang out with.
These are the coolest people you'll ever meet. The most carefree people, that just genuine good people,
Yep.
that you don't always meet in your day-to-day life.
No, you
right? Seems like it's more and more you don't meet genuine good people.
How about old Jimmy Riley?
The man can play a fiddle.
Yes, sir. Jimmy
He
Riley.
can get down.
Jimmy Riley is like, every time you approach him, he just has the biggest smile on his face, and he just seems like there ain't nothing wrong in Jimmy Riley's life, and he is just the nicest dude.
He's got it figured out.
He does, and he told me the other day we were talking, and he said that he started this in like 2017.
Really?
That threw me for a loop. I was like, dude, how you dress and how you do everything looks like you've been doing it for 25 years.
Yeah. I thought he started at birth.
I know, man. I know. I mean, Jimmy Riley is the definition of.
He's a cool dude.
Yes.
Genuine people. He's at the top of the list.
Jimmy
he's
Riley.
a good guy.
Yep.
And I've been around him twice so
Yep.
far, and it's been a pleasure both times. He's really cool. So yeah, I can't. The people you meet, I can't stress that enough.
Yeah.
You won't meet anybody that's not willing to give you the shirt off their back, literally, to help you.
Yep, that's exactly right.
And you can't beat that, especially not nowadays.
Right.
And anybody that does want to make fun of it, I would venture to say, what have we done here? We've got a camp. We're out in the outdoors
Yep.
by ourselves. There's no help here. We're on our own. In the rain, it's been raining all day. We've got a fire built with primitive tools. What's more manly than that? I mean, you can't beat this.
No,
We're
you
out
can't.
here just roughing it.
Yep.
And we've got a little bit of luxury going on. So we just got this tent. We're gonna use it for Toulouse, and we wanted to have a little experience putting it up, and actually using it. But
Yeah.
so we got a little bit of luxury, but
we're out here, man.
This is it.
Yep.
We're out in the middle of it.
Yep, that's exactly right.
It's about the best you can get.
Yep. Well, Kaleb, our light is fading fast, so I've only got time for one more question, and I'm sure this is not going to be our only interview together, since we're going to be doing this together a lot. But I just wanted to ask you, I think I already know the answer to this question too, but what is your favorite part of living history?
I think I've already mentioned it, man. To just being out in the outdoors, getting to practice some skills that you don't get to practice every day in your everyday routine. Like I said earlier, you know, I've got a 9 to 5, and substantially more than 9 to 5, but I've got an everyday routine that you don't always get to break out of, and that's it's nice, man. Eventually, you know, I'll have my little boy out here with me. Maybe get my wife to come with us, and bringing them on. There's a coyote in the background, but and that's part of it, man.
Yeah.
You're out here in it. You hear things like coyotes and turkeys, birds, man, deer. You know, stuff that you don't get to hear and see every day. So you're breaking your routine and practicing skills that are, I think, necessary.
Right.
You know, you've got so many people that are so stuck in their everyday routine, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, everybody's trying to survive nowadays, but actually getting to be out in it and working on your
Primitive skills.
well, your life skills,
Yeah,
rather than
really.
just survival
Right.
life skills, right?
Right.
Like this is surviving, but it's also living, man. This is what
That-
I enjoy. We're breaking free from our routine and not being part of the dog race, you know.
Yeah.
And that's nice, man. There's something to be respected in that aspect of it, right?
Right.
Not only is it fun and enjoyable, but you know, God forbid you ever need it. You've got skills that, you know, we started a fire with nothing more than just a little piece of rope and a flint and steel, a rock and a piece of metal. Like
Yeah.
you can't, you don't get those skills every day.
No,
at
you
your
don't.
9 to 5.
You don't.
know? So that's nice to have, and it's nice to practice, and it's a blast, man. I enjoy it.
Yep.
I enjoy every bit of it.
Well, I'm glad that I got to sit down and interview Kaleb, and I'm glad to be out here. We're filming a full series on this overnight trip, and what we're going to do now is check this stew, and as we're losing light, we're going to get back to filming our overnight video, but I just wanted to sit down real quick and, like I said, interview Kaleb. So I hope y'all enjoyed this episode of Along the Wolf Trail, and we'll see you on down the trail.